It's a magic blind box switch. The man presses it with his hand. Then something unexpected pops up. The whole room is full of these blind box switches. Then he presses it with his hand. A loaf of bread with a heart appears on the wall, and a little dessert was placed in front of him. The man's name is Dason, and he's a big jerk. He was put in a dark room by the director because he was always messaging his little sister in the comments section. He was put in a dark room by the director. It's easy to get out of here. You just have to find the exit switch yourself. It might be possible to get out. Dason pressed the switch on the wall, but everything that came out was useless. It didn't take long. Dason gave up hope of getting out. Then he threw the balloon away, and by accident a plate of sushi opened up. But Dason was used to eating sushi with soy sauce. He couldn't eat it without soy sauce. He had no choice but to keep pressing the switch. But all that came out was sushi. He was so hungry that he had no choice. He had to force it into his mouth. Dason finished his meal. He pressed the switch again. This time, soy sauce popped up. This time the soy sauce popped up. He then prepared to take a lunch break. Lying on the floor, he pressed a switch with his hand. A pair of glasses fell from above. Dason took them with him. He then noticed a little boy appear on the wall, frantically hinting at him. Pressed a switch on himself. Dason thought it was an exit switch. He pressed it with great excitement. The lights all turned off. A 10-second countdown appeared behind him, and the buttons disappeared one by one. Then a big bread sat down. A little dessert was served to him. Dason passed out from the sweetness. A week later, Dason had adapted to the environment. He had reached the 5th comic book. Just as he was about to read the 6th, the 7th one popped up. Pressing the button again brought up the 9th part. Dason's mind exploded. Then Dason pressed the button next to him. A door appeared behind him. This must be the exit. The moment the door closed behind him, Dason sensed that it was the exit that could be back thrown. He forgot which button had just been pressed. Then he pressed it by feel. A small black one appeared and then disappeared again. Then he pressed it again. This time Dason pressed the right button. He was so excited that he ran towards the exit, but it was still too fast for the button to rebound. No matter how hard he ran, it all ended in failure. So Dason found a jump rope. If he could just pull the button down, then he could escape. But in the end, he was too late, and that's when he came up with a great idea. If he put a heavy object on it, then the switch wouldn't pop back. Then he prepared to fill the jar with water, only to find that the water was always above his head. He couldn't get it into the jar, with no choice but to pour sushi into it. Finally, Dason struggled to bring the jar over, but then he forgot to turn the button on and off. Dason had to try again one by one. He ended up pushing Blackie out, and he accidentally kicked the jar. He was so embarrassed that Blackie turned back on his own, and the jar cracked because of Blackie's kick. He was so angry that he almost had a brain hemorrhage. Then he wrapped the button with sushi, and when the door behind him opened, the button popped back up intact. Then Dason got some tape to hold the button in place. The button didn't budge for a while. Dason ran to the exit in excitement. Then he found a piece of tin and fixed it to the button. The button then pushed up against the tin. Dason was accidentally hit by the door and hit his back. The pain was so great that he lay undercover for 7 days before he could get up. Dason has been stuck here for a month. This day he pressed a random button. A lanyard was opened for him to get out. That's when Dason came up with a great idea. Just press the switch and at the same time, swinging the rope over, then he would definitely be able to get out. This time Dason managed to enter the exit, only to find that there was a door inside, and this door needed a key to open it. Dason had to go back in, and then the door hit him in the back. At this moment, Dason's mind exploded. He was so angry that he kicked at the wall, but he inadvertently opened the door with the key. It didn't take long for the key to disappear before Dason's eyes. Then he went back to the wall. He pressed the switch. The key reappeared. At that moment, a new plan appeared in Dason's mind. A new plan emerged. That was to shake the rope and get the key, then go back to the exit to get out of here. This time Dason managed to get the key. Just when he thought he could get out, he found that there was a combination lock on the door. He was so angry that he picked up the leather kick and hit it hard, but accidentally hit the switch. He let Blackie out. Only then did Dason realize the combination was written on Blackie's head. Remembering the code, Dason repeated the same action again. Due to time constraints, it took Dason 3 times to open the lock. He opened the inner door directly. The door back in was suddenly closed too. When he stepped inside, Dason was devastated because he was trapped again in a small space. His mind exploded and he pulled at the wall opposite him, only to find that the wall was movable. In the end, Dason is happy to escape. And that's the end of the film. This is a 2009, a Japanese comedy film, The Pajama Man in Interdimensional Space. If you too have been put in a dark room by the director for private messaging your little sister in the comments section, the director has put you in a dark room. How long would you last in there?